Hi, my name's Joey. I'm an organizer here at WPEA, and today we're going to talk about collective action. So collective action is the coordinated effort of individuals working together towards a common goal to affect some kind of change. So these efforts range from being relatively passive, like having a custom email signature to show support, to very aggressive, like participating in a lengthy general strike. Most commonly, collective actions are used to inform people of an issue while also increasing pressure on management to address the issue in a mutually acceptable manner between the workers and the administrators. So before organizing any kind of action, it's best to have an escalation plan. An escalation plan helps you to identify what actions you should start with, and if those actions are unsuccessful, what actions you should take afterwards. So we're currently in the process of creating a standard escalation plan, but in the interim, I can give a brief example of what an escalation plan looks like. And in this example, I want to preface that we're presuming that the affected workers work in like an office setting and that their coworkers are in nearby buildings or a short drive away. This is a really common setting for most of higher education and some general government bargaining units. However, a lot of these tactics can either be applied directly to workers in the field, or they can be adapted to fit your specific scenario. So this escalation plan has 5 steps, which, as the name suggests, get progressively more aggressive as we move through them. So step 1 in our escalation plan is going to focus on visibility. And to do that, we're going to create an email signature, we're going to create a Zoom background, and we're going to coordinate all members of that bargaining unit to wear their union shirts on a specific day. When we do all of those things, we're also going to create an informational packet, which includes things like a short 30-second summary of the issue, an FAQ of some common talking points, and maybe like a 10-word fast pitch of what the issue is. So the signature, the Zoom background, union shirts, those are all ways to increase awareness that there is an issue. And it also passively invites others to engage in conversation, which may further increase participation if we need to escalate further. And when you create a culture of this, there are often times where you can solve the problem just at step 1. As soon as people start wearing shirts, everyone knows there's a problem somewhere. What is the problem? What do we need to do? As soon as people see the Zoom background with the union label, they know there's a problem here. What is the problem? What do you need us to do? And as soon as management gets used to this is the pattern that we follow, they know that that's the beginning of the escalations. But presuming that this first step doesn't work, and management hasn't engaged in discussions to arrive at an amicable solution between the workers and management, then we escalate. We move to step 2. Step 2 is going to focus on information. And it's going to move from passively spreading information to actively spreading and acquiring information. So in this step, members could be asked to send questions about the issue to their supervisors, to HR, or to really any other administrator who could influence the situation. So that way, these participants, these administrators know that other people are concerned about this issue and they have questions about it, and they're looking to learn more about it so that whatever is happening can become more visible. In addition, the union can file what are called information requests. So that way we can be sure that we know all the facts prior to sending out official communications. And it should be noted that these information requests, they require work from the employer. The employers legally required to provide that information to us in the way that we ask. It's physical work that they have to perform. And it also informs them that we're looking directly at a thing. It lets them know exactly where our eyes are. And again, once you build a culture of this pattern, now, if you haven't picked up the vibe from step one, now all of the higher ups in your bargaining unit should be pretty aware, at least inside of HR where information requests are handled. Should be very aware that this is a problem, and now the union's looking at it. And again, when you build that culture, the employer is going to start to know that when information requests are filed, that's information that's going to be distributed amongst the membership. And so anything that we ask for is going to become very visible. So if that didn't work, and the other thing that we could do, sorry, I missed a bit. When we're at step 2 is once we do have all of those facts from information requests and discussions with management, then we can also write social media posts. We can hold dedicated meetings to discuss the issue on how we can best engage with the employer, and we can start having a more intentional dialogue outside of just passively asking, why am I wearing the shirt today? But so if all that stuff doesn't work, management still hasn't sat down and discussed this issue with us, we still haven't come to an amicable conclusion, then we move to step 3. Step 3 is going to focus on coordinated actions. And so by the time we get to step 3 in our escalation plan, we can be pretty sure that management is aware of both the issue itself and of our proposed solution. But clearly they have not taken any actions towards a mutually acceptable solution. Because of this fact, management is either unwilling to concede to our requests, or they don't feel like the issue is a priority for them right now. And so to ensure that management stays engaged in the discussion, we have to begin leveraging disruptions and public displays of discontent to incentivize the employer to act. And so step 3 in our escalation plan is where we move from the digital world, where we're having conversations over email or through virtual meetings, or we're having in-person conversations with our coworkers. Now we're going to move to the physical world. This is where we schedule public demonstrations, where we hand out informational flyers. We coordinate members to provide public comments at the next board meeting. And this is also the step where we're going to start to write news articles for local papers. And in a more contentious setting, we could even use this step in the escalation plan to begin creating signs about the issue. And when you have those signs, you can then rotate member breaks so that when you take your break, your 15-minute break, then you can go pick up a sign from a common area, head over to the decision makers area, wherever they are, and have a small group of people holding signs outside of the office at all times. But that's kind of only if it's contentious and if you have a really well organized membership that they're totally fine doing that. Like everyone's going to rotate their breaks, make sure that we all have a time that we can stand out there and just hold a sign. We're not shouting right now. We're not being disruptive. We're just holding a sign to make sure that they see it. So if that hasn't worked, if we're at the end of step 3, we've done all of those things, like we've spoken to the board, we've spoken to administrators, we've sat in meetings, this is not working. They are not making the changes that we need to make. They're not being reasonable. Then we move to step 4. Step 4 in our escalation plan focuses on short-term work stoppage. This is the next to last step, and it includes some of the most severe actions that we can take as workers. In this step, we're coordinating entire departments to all call out sick on the same day. This type of maneuver is called a sick out. And in addition, that coordinated sign waving during breaks that we talked about, well, now we're doing that still, but now we're doing loud chants and being more disruptive. And if they want to ask that small group of 3 or 4 people who are doing that 15 minutes to leave, go for it. Their break is over in 15 minutes. And if you ask them to leave after 5 minutes, that's fine. Another group will be here shortly. And if the bargaining unit is really well organized, we can also perform what is called work to rule, which means that the members only perform work that is specifically outlined in their position descriptions. And the reason why I say only if a bargaining unit is really well organized is you need to have well-drafted position descriptions, or really even if you don't have well-drafted ones, you can still do it. You just have to really understand what is written in the position description so you can stick to it and only do that. So this step is where employers will experience what a work stoppage looks like in the short term. Following work to rule slows down productivity, and those audible disruptions doing loud chants outside of the decision maker's office, that ensures that this issue is the primary topic that the decision maker is thinking about every day until it is solved. If we are not successful at step 4, we have done everything before, and now we've even begun withholding part of our work. We've begun slowing things down, and we've even had people vacate a department for a day, just so management can see that that's what it looks like. If we are still unsuccessful, the final step, step 5, is long-term work stoppage. And because it's the final step, it generally involves the various forms of striking. Now, striking requires a few things to have happened beforehand, depending on what type of strike that we're talking about. But I'll cover those details in a future training dedicated to just talking about striking rules, because there's a lot of nitty-gritty bits in there. But for now, I'll overview a few different types of strikes. So first, there is the intermittent strike. This is kind of like a long-term sick out. This work stoppage happens in short bursts. So workers may stop for 1 day every week throughout the month, or any combination of working and stopping. So when you're at step 4, you might do a single sick out and see how that, what kind of impact that has on the employer. And when you get to step 5, you might say, all right, well, we're doing that every Tuesday until this problem is solved. Or like the custodians are going to do it on Tuesday, and the security officers are doing it on Wednesday, and so on and so forth. The second type of strike that I wanted to talk about is called a slowdown strike. And it's pretty much like work to rule. Workers continue to show up to work. However, you can either do work to rule, where you're only doing what's included in your position description. But when you do a slowdown strike, you're not just doing that. You're also intentionally reducing your work output by at least like 50%. So if you normally type at 120 words a minute and you're able to finish all your work at that pace, type at 60. See how much work that you get done, and just say, sorry, I'd like to work faster, but like I can't concentrate because these issues exist, and like that's what I keep thinking about, so it's really tough for me. Like I haven't been getting enough sleep, I'm kind of dizzy. And when this type of slowdown strike is executed amongst all workers, it's usually one of the safest ways to execute a strike while still maintaining your regular pay. Because the employer will get to see what it looks like to have all labor withheld, but they still only, like they're going to see people every day, but just productivity is going to tank. And the last types of a strike that I want to talk about are a partial and a general strike. So these are the versions of a strike that most workers think about when they talk about a union strike. In a general strike, we need a 2/3 majority vote from our entire union for all of our members to go on strike at the same time. And a partial strike is just that. It's just like a general strike in all ways, except that it doesn't include the entire union. It might just be one bargaining unit. It might just be one department in one bargaining unit. And so, in summary, collective action can take many forms outside of what I've detailed here today. Effectively, if you can envision a way for workers to coordinate together towards change, that's collective action. And it's important to remember that your rights under the contract are held in a delicate balance of power. And the workers' power will always derive from withholding their labor and their careful coordination of the masses. So, like I always say, my name's Joey. I'm an organizer here at WPEA. If you have any questions about this training, feel free to email me at joey@wpa.org. Or if you have any other ideas for things that you'd like me to create a training for, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here to answer any questions. As always, thanks for hanging out and have a great day. Bye.